Hey guys, it's Brent here. So, today is the last day of Virtual Battleground. Hopefully you've been doing your fights. I just wanted to take a minute to, now that I have everything unlocked, talk about some good characters to use and things like that. Honestly, I think I mentioned this before, but your best bet on most of these is just going to be whoever you have really high BP with. So I have, Chaco, All Might, and Deku, so I kind of split them among these three. But for the early stages, you could also try the boosted units. So here's Shoto, or anybody who attacks quickly, maybe Denki, possibly Stain. So you've got a couple options. I wouldn't recommend using Ida, for example, on the early ones, because he kind of takes a hot minute to charge up. Endeavor's kind of the same way. His damage is a few seconds in, and these fights should only take a few seconds. It also really depends on which active cards you have. So if we take a look at the actives, I don't have Mount Lady, but that 820% attack damage, she can really just end a fight before it begins. Toga is also a solid single damage unit. So if you have anybody like that, you can put them on characters and try to tackle those fights really early. And make sure you're only saving attempts when you get the highest score you think you can get. Scavenger has a pretty decent shield. If you can break that, he isn't quite as bad. But yeah, when he has that shield, he's got hyper armor and can interrupt your combos. Hanzo's big thing is his invincibility frames. He does have a shield as well, but yeah, the most annoying part about him is going to be when he jumps up on his water tornado, just like in all the other events, or when, I don't know if he has the bubble attack in this mode. Let's see if it comes up. Cool, so I didn't get any invincibility frames there. It looks like maybe he was about to do one, but yeah, that's Katana Ronin. Let's see. My recollection of him is just that he's really, I guess, floaty. He kind of jumps around a lot. But again, if you can break the shield, you can stop that. Mahado can root, so that's nice. You can have cards too that can root. Yeah, he has this invincible and jumps into the air. That adds time. And then you'll want to stay close to him when those swords are falling, just like an agency assessment. So any cards you have that can deal heavy single hit damage is also useful on any of these guys. And then you unlock this challenge stage. So the challenge stage only has one difficulty, and your score is based on the damage you do and the damage you take, just like all the other stages. The difference here is you can use any character It doesn't cost challenge energy. So the way the challenge stage works depends on like which rotation of the event you're on. There are a couple times where it's about dealing about like taking out waves of enemies, and you get to, you know, a boss and you can actually finish it. But most of the rotations are things like Stain, where he has so Stain has a lot of health, and if you deal enough damage, you increase your time that you have. So Tenya is a great character to use here if you're so Tenya is a great character to use if you are able to control him and keep your combos up. That requires a lot of dodging against Stain. I have the Unconscious Monster card, which can give me some hyper armor. That hasn't been working very well for me, and I'm dropping my combos. So there you saw me pass a damage threshold, and that gave me an extra couple seconds for this fight, right? But now my combo broke, and we're starting back from scratch. So if you're a solid Ida player and you can keep that combo up, he's going to be really good. That requires a lot of dodging against Stain. That I'm not necessarily hitting as I record and try to talk with it. So after this run, I will show you how I got my score. So I can tell you that these top two almost definitely used Ida. He just deals the most damage per second, right? But this third one, my brother doesn't really play Ida, so you can get highly ranked without him, but his damage is honestly unmatched. Stain is really tough to use to fight Ida with, because he's constantly attacking, he's constantly breaking your combos, so if you can get it, you'll probably deal the most damage. If not, use the characters you're best as. Use high battle power units. I use World Hero Mission Deku, and I'm not going to quite outpace the Idas, but it should be enough to get me into the top 10. So as you can see, you know, every time you pass a damage threshold, you get a new one, and time keeps extending for this fight. I believe that the maximum amount of time you can get is 5 minutes, and once you pass kind of the last threshold, I guess. Yeah, once you pass the last threshold, you end up with, you know, 5 minutes of time after, you know, whatever you've lost. One thing to note is that losing shields does not count as taking damage. So if you have the Flex card, that will block one hit. If you have Long Roll, I believe is what it's called, that gives you some shields. If you're playing as Endeavor and you get your shields, right? Anything that detracts from shields instead of HP doesn't subtract points from your overall score. So that said, Endeavor is a solid unit to use here if yours is built and if you're good, you know, as him. I'm not necessarily great as Endeavor, so I can't really match the damage of some of the Endeavors that I have seen, but he does have that, you know, he can shield himself. So that's useful, and then if you combine that with other shielding cards, you can really avoid damage entirely, which, you know, keeps your score at its maximum potential. I just passed the last DPS target, so this 49 seconds I have left is, you know, what's left.
I'll surpass my limit! United States of World Smash! Blackwick! Smash! This way! I won't give up! Smash!
So I still didn't beat my score, which means it won't even let me save my grade if I attempt to. Here you can see how much damage I took. The lower this damage, the higher this score will be. And, you know, the lower boss health, the higher this score will be. So that's how that stage works. You know, you'll just want to fight him with your best character, give it a couple tries, get the best score you can, and, you know, try to get the highest points, because in reality, this is where the most points come from for this whole stage. I mean, this is not quite half for me, but, you know, possibly half for some of the higher players of the points for the whole stage. So that said, you know, I didn't quite get top 3 or anything with him. You know, I could play him as Ida a couple more dozen times and see how I do, but at the end of the day, the ranking rewards here are rank 1 through 10, 11 through 50, right? There's no reward for being number 1 in this bracket. So since I'm sitting comfortably at number 4, I'm not really planning on running this to try to get to number 3, right? These rewards are pretty solid. If you can make it to the top 50, which honestly I think you can, you know, you get one 5 or 6 star card. If you can make it to the top 10, you get 2. But yeah, the rewards here are pretty decent. This is honestly my least favorite of the 3 in terms of rewards, but they're still worth getting. So make sure you do those. Make sure you take on that challenge stage. Any heavy damage dealers, like I said, Ida, Endeavor, those will probably be your best bets, but really whoever you have built can do pretty decently. So thanks for watching. I hope that these tips kind of help, but that's pretty much it. Just make sure that you're dodging, trying not to take damage, and dealing as much as you can. Bring your powerhouses, your strong cards, boost damage with cards, and try to get as high of a score as you can. If you have any questions about this mode or anything else, let me know. But otherwise, I look forward to talking to you next time.